All right, welcome back to the Boys of 161st Street. This is an episode all about Gumby. Jordan Montgomery, episode number 95, here with us, the Boys of 161st Street. Now you got Chandler's not here again. Don't know where he is. Don't really care. Murph, Damon, Luke. Let's talk about Monty.
161st Street, Yankee Stadium.
Swung on and hit in the air. Then he center. Gets back, away back. She is gone. He made the catch. He made the
All right, how are we?
Looks like the coffee kind of hit you.
Yeah, I took an espresso. We tried to bang out a couple of these episodes all at once because, why not? And I took an espresso shot right before, and I am juiced up, ready to go for Montgomery. I've never been more excited about Jordan Montgomery in my life.
You literally said, "Let me know when I start yelling," because that's when the coffee hit me. That's right. That's right now. That's literally right now.
So, let's talk about Montgomery. How are we?
I don't think I'm better than you, but I'm doing pretty well.
Murph?
I'd have to agree. I'm doing all right.
You're good, Murph?
I'm good. I can use an espresso, but I'm good.
A cold or something.
All right, so is Montgomery like skinny fat? Or is he's definitely a little bit puffy around he's certainly not going up to Judge and like asking if he can mix in sets and just rep out the same shit he's doing. I don't know. I just wanted to get the elephant out of the room and decide his
Is that an elephant?
physical structure. I don't know.
He looks bigger than
he's a big dude, but
he looks like bigger than he's
later?
listed as because he's 6'6", which like obviously big guy, but he's also only like 220, 225. So you would I would picture 228. Oh, my bad. But either way, like you wouldn't expect somebody to look chubby when they're only 225 and they're 6'6". So, but he somehow does.
Right?
He does. Like, look at the picture. I mean, he doesn't look like fat or anything, but
No, I'm not saying
looks
that, but he's
a
not
little big.
cut. He's probably like, I don't know, 18% body fat.
I don't know. Pictures are weird with like.
Is that high?
That's high. I think. I don't know. I'm not a fucking
16?
nutritionist.
Anywho, what do we have? I mean, 5.11 ERA last year, 2-3 on the season, 10 games started, 44 innings pitched, 47 strikeouts, 1.2 WHIP, 0.1 WAR. So I just showed you guys that I can read. What do those numbers mean? Nothing, right?
It's a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. I feel like.
Is it underwhelming? For you to be underwhelmed, you are saying your expectations were higher than that.
Yeah, they were.
Wow.
Because
Tell me about it.
I don't know. I'm the type of guy who like when I watch Montgomery pitch, I don't know if it's just I don't know what it is, but I'm always weirdly confident for some reason. I don't know. I really don't know why. There is no statistics or history to back that up. I just for some reason feel like I don't know. I have a good feeling when he goes out there and pitches. And watching some of his games last year, I feel like, and this also could be completely wrong, so don't quote me on this, but I feel like in the beginning of the games, he was doing really well, and then towards the end of the game or towards the second time around, the third time around, I don't think he got to the third time around, but the second time around the lineup, he would just kind of lose it, and that's where the ERA came in. Again, that could be really wrong.
I think it
but
is. I don't think he was like
that's just
Paxton
how I
runs
was
in the
feeling.
first, but I don't think he ever did well early.
I guess that's just my my vision of him. I don't know. I just feel like from the games I've watched, I've been confident and not really sure why. There is no reason for that to be. It's a weird thing. But anyway.
When you look at his game log, he hasn't gone, last year at least, he didn't go longer than 6 innings. That isn't good. That's not good.
It's not great.
It's definitely not what you want. I think the only person on the Yankees who didn't really do that last year was Cole. So it is par for the course with the rest of the rotation, aside from the occasional Tanaka 9-inning pitched, a single tear down my cheek that Tanaka's gone. But aside from Tanaka randomly just spinning a gem one day, the rest of the team didn't really go deep into games, and that's just how it was for them. Hopefully that changes this year with some new faces. But I mean, I never was a guy personally, like I'm not even talking about stats or anything, just my personal Luke test, this applies to pitchers as well. I don't really feel very confident when Montgomery's on the mound. I don't know if you guys do. I'm curious if anybody does, because why would you? He hasn't really shown much other than like being sixth in rookie. Was it rookie of the year? Rookie of the year. He's sixth. Like that was the thing about him. Like there's always this hype that Montgomery was good when he came in, got hurt him. No pun intended. It hurt like his progression, obviously, and kind of like stunted that. So now this is, I feel like, his first year coming in like fully healthy, fully ready to make a name for himself. Like it's a big year for a lot of people, but definitely a big year for Montgomery.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, David, but I feel like he, like you said, like when he had the Rookie of the Year 6th ranking in 2017, there was a lot of upside that people were excited about, and then the injury completely stunted that. And then now he clearly doesn't stay in games very long. So I'm starting to think if, say our rotation's healthy, especially when Sevy comes back, if he could transition into a long reliever out of the bullpen, I feel like he could definitely actually provide some value that I would not hate seeing him on the mound. Like somebody gets shelled early and he comes in the third instead of Loizaga, I'm completely fine with that.
You think he's the one who gets bounced out, not Devi?
I do.
Not even playoff rotation.
Because
Middle of when Sevy comes back, who's getting bounced? You think it's him?
My guess would be Montgomery. Obviously, by then there could be plenty of reasons for that not to be the case. But I have higher expectations for Devi than I do for Montgomery. So basically, if they're both living up to what I expected them this year, then it would be Montgomery to get bounced. But I also think he could be.
Yeah, my gut says the way the Yankees have treated both of those pitchers and the way they tend to treat younger guys is that they are going to fully like empty the tank on what Montgomery can do because he's been around a little longer. I think that's why I think Devi gets the move for now at least. But I don't know. Like, what if he starts progressing? It's a big depends situation, as we talked about before. A lot of things are big depends things, but I don't know. I think the Yankees tend to not rush prospects. So I see them keeping Montgomery in because they want, maybe it's what they want him to be, not like what he is or the expectations for him. They want Montgomery to be that guy. And I guess maybe it's kind of a one more year. I don't know how many more years he has left on his contract or when arbitration is and all that stuff. I feel like it's coming up because I think that's why you kind of have to throw him out there and see if he's got it type thing. And then if he doesn't do what you think he can do, then you let him walk. Because I feel like we haven't even gotten enough of Montgomery like on a consistent basis to even decide whether we want him back or not. That's why I don't even have an opinion as much as I do about other players because he's been in and out so infrequently and he's never been a guy where we needed to kind of like rely upon, So I feel like that's for that reason, there's a lot more time for Devi to be that guy. If I had to choose one, I think the Yankees would pick Devi to get bounced out for Montgomery just because he's an itch like many of the players on the Yankees that they want to scratch and see if he has it. So yeah, that's how I think about it. I think that's actually what's going to happen now that I talked it through. That's definitely what's going to happen.
But also like Montgomery he's shown signs of being a really productive pitcher. And I think that the inconsistency and the injuries have obviously hurt him, but just taking a look back at last season, the guy had a strikeout per 9. He had 9.6 strikeout per 9 innings and 1.8 strikeout per 9 innings. That's pretty fucking good, in my opinion.
Tell me what the average is, Damon.
I don't know, but
so don't even bring up numbers like that if you don't know.
But that
comparing.
No, I know that that 11
one
is really, really,
inning.
really good.
I just wanted you to have a benchmark because
the average is probably
benchmarks. We're just
7 or 8.
Out.
No, it's like you don't know the exact average ERA, but you know what a good ERA is. So I feel like that is something that you kind of have to take into account.
I think the ERA, it goes without saying. I think when we
the
dive
other
into
thing
some
that
of these numbers, I just would like a benchmark.
All right, so Garrett Cole, who is the best pitcher on our team, has a 11.6 strikeout per 9, and he's a Cy Young winner.
And what was Montgomery?
9.6.
Fine, pretty good numbers then.
It's pretty good numbers.
I wasn't calling you out saying you were wrong. I'm
just saying Garrett Cole's career strikeout per 9 is an average of 10.1. So
Garrett Cole is one of the best strikeout pitchers on the planet, so that's why I'm on board with you. Those are good numbers. I just wanted to hold you accountable for your numbers because you're not a numbers guy.
I'm starting to become one. So
and I don't want you to mislead the listeners because they may think you're a numbers guy, and I want to let them know that you are not.
all right, well, that just proved it that I kind of can be. So let's just see.
The other thing that we're
Right,
completely
And I'll just say this one more time too. Garrett Cole last year had 2.1 walks per 9, which is higher than Montgomery. So both of my stats just checked out. Boom.
But you said Garrett Cole's is higher than Montgomery's. How did that prove your point?
Because statistically, Garrett Cole walks more people than
You
Montgomery.
just basically proved that Garrett Cole's a better pitcher than Montgomery, which we already knew.
No, I just said Garrett Cole walks more people, which is a bad thing.
Oh,
than Montgomery.
wait. See, I was confused because it was one of those stats where a bit more is bad.
Yeah.
We were just looking at. You see the confusion there?
Yes, I do. But Garrett Cole walks more people statistically than Jordan Montgomery. So I'm not saying by any means that they're equivalent. Just saying that those two stats, they prove that he can be a really good pitcher and has a potential. And I know we're going to get into this a little bit later in the episode, but his postseason appearance against the Rays was a great sign of that as well. But I think that he has the stuff to be a really, really solid fourth pitcher in their rotation, which is what he's projected to be right now. And the only issue is that he lets up a lot of hits, and he pitches for contact for the most part, and he needs to figure out how to get those hits into outs, if that makes sense. Like, people pitch for contact, but they're ground balls or pop-ups, and becomes outs. He needs to kind of figure out how to maneuver and change his kind of strategy a little bit to turn those hits into more outs.
He's also a lefty, which we haven't even talked about yet.
And
which
pitch is funny.
When I talked about him going into the bullpen, I then realized that if Sevy comes back and he goes to the bullpen, then we have all righties because there's no more Paxton anymore. So that's also maybe a reason to keep him in the rotation and just kind of change up the look a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. That's just something.
So you kind of talked about his playoff performance a little bit. I kind of asked this question to you guys before about him. I don't know if you want to use the word shoving, because when in memory, without looking at the numbers, I thought he shoved. But then I looked back at the numbers and I was like, didn't really shove through 4 innings, playoff games. So, pitchers get pulled earlier all the time, obviously, because it's a much higher pitch count. People are working counts more. So he's not going to stay in 4 innings for him is a long time. So I think the question becomes, did he shove or did he just exceed your expectations? And I think for me, he very, very much exceeded my expectations because he was going against a scrappy Rays team, and I expected him to literally get pulled after a batter or 2 or 3 batter minimum. I thought he was going to actually get shelled by them because it was game 4, I think it was, back against the wall. We won 5-1 that game. We needed that out of Montgomery, and I didn't think he had it in him because that's just nothing against the guy, just my personal, how I felt confidence-wise. It's not Garrett Cole on the mound. I didn't think that he would do well. So 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. That's a pretty good outing. It's only 4 innings, though, so I wouldn't consider it shoving. Definitely shoving for him, though. But I don't know. So would you guys consider that shoving, or is it just, again, exceeding expectations?
That's a
Definitely
very solid outing from a pitcher named Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
I wouldn't call it shoving because shoving isn't something that's like subjective to the person. Like if you're shoving, period. And that stat line isn't shoving, but like you said, it wildly exceeded expectations. And if he could go out and throw, even if it's for 4 innings on his start days and throw those numbers, then that's wildly exceeding.
I am a very happy person if he does that in the 4th spot in the rotation.
See, that to me, yes. And that, there's 2 things with this. I'm happy with where he's at now because he's the 4 in a rotation or 5 or wherever you want to call it. That's good. It's in comparison to last year, that's way better because we don't need him to be better than that. That's great for a 4. You know what I mean? Like that's okay. Like last year, I'm pretty sure he was like the 3 or even the 2 because we had injuries going into the year. So not the 2. He was like the 3. Whatever
it changed so much.
I don't know. Mm-hmm. But we needed him a lot more than we do this year, assuming the other guys we just added, the other guys we added, like JMO and Kluber are going to be healthy, and Devi coming into his own this year. Who knows what Clark Schmidt's going to do? But all that aside, I think the question becomes, does he crack the playoff rotation? I personally think they're going to move him to the pen. Assuming health, this is before the year, no injuries have happened yet, so let's just assume health, hopefully. Be hopeful. I think he gets moved to the pen.
It's not the worst thing.
Four guys. Wait, it's four guys. Is it 3 in the playoff rotation or 4? 3.
Depends on the team.
Series, but
let's assume we go far. So let's call it a 7-game series. There's 4 guys in the rotation.
Yeah.
No,
it's 4.
It's 3.
Well, you should plan for 4, though.
No, it's 3.
If you're in a 7-game series, usually
you could play 3 games back
that
to back.
Fourth guy that you can pitch.
The reason why I'm hanging up on this is it's important for my question.
It's 2-3-2.
3 or 4 is a big difference with this question.
It's 2-3-2, right? In a 7-game series.
Either way, he's not in it though for me because you're forgetting about Sevy.
I don't know. We haven't been in a 7-game series very recently, so.
No, but either way, assuming health for everybody, it's going to be
sucking dick.
It's going to be Kluber, JMO, Cole, and Sevy.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I think that what we need to realize is that we don't need Jordan Montgomery to be an ace. We need him to fill a role, and if that role is being a 4th starter who can throw 4 2/3 innings and hold the opposing team to 1 run, then that's his role. And if he does that, that's awesome, right? Like, again, we don't need him to shove 7 innings and strike out 10. Would that be great? Obviously, but we don't need him to do that, and we shouldn't rely on him to do that because he's a 5th. He should be a 4th or 5th starter in rotation. And
I wrote that down.
Really?
I said we don't need him to be an ace, but if he does, awesome.
Right?
And Damon just said it for those of you watching on YouTube. Yeah, you can't see
that.
I try. It's tough to get you, but
yes.
I agree. Clearly, I agree. I wrote it down. No, but with that being said, we don't need him to be an ace, but we are an injury away from him being the 3.
Yeah.
And 2 injuries away from him being the 2. Like, injuries with the guys that we just added could very well happen.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 of the guys being Sevy, JMO, and Kluber are very big what ifs, very big depends guys, very big question marks. Montgomery right now, as it sits, we don't need him as much. But if you asked me in August, we may be talking about him being the 2. Like, in the last 2 years, things have been going to shit. And if you follow the trends, Montgomery, we talked about this whole episode, actually, that we aren't going to really need him that much. Montgomery is an enormous piece of this team, and I expect him to be higher in the rotation, cracking the playoff roster because people are going to get hurt. It's just bound to happen. I'm not being pessimistic. There are going to be injuries. Montgomery, in a 162 season, which we are getting this year, confirmed, he's going to be an instrumental, imperative piece of this team. And he's a very big, like, you look at Montgomery and what he's doing and what he's producing, and that is very indicative of how the team is doing at the time. If Montgomery's doing well, that means the whole team's doing well because that means we're hitting on all cylinders, 1 through 6, like 4 lines banging, everyone's doing well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if it's a world where Montgomery is pitching well, we're in a great spot. But I just wanted to bring that to attention because we have been saying that he kind of isn't really like a do or die guy. I really think he may be.
He's a massive part of this team. He's a much bigger part of this team than people realize. And that's a good point like you brought up. Like, he shouldn't have to go out there and try and shut them out because we should be producing runs for him. Right?
Yeah.
And I think he's going to play a huge role. And that if that role is a 4th, 5th start on rotation or if it's out of the bullpen, I don't know what it's going to be, but I think either way, he'll figure out a way to fill that role and do a good job.
We need him to be serviceable. Nothing more, nothing less. So we can't expect him to go out like I've been saying over and over again. And
I think
that's just what you expect him. You expect him to be serviceable, and if he is, then he's doing his job.
He's also got a little chip on his shoulder, I think. I think he definitely wants to come out there.
What makes you say that?
Because he's one of these guys who hasn't really had a full season since his rookie year.
So the whole team has a chip on their shoulder then.
Great. Fucking fantastic. But he's another guy who has a chip because his first season in 2017 was a pretty good season. 6th in Rookie of the Year award for a pitcher. And then 2018, 2019 through cumulatively 8 games. And then right after that, 10 games. So like he hasn't really had an opportunity to play a whole 162 since 2017. So yeah, he definitely wants to prove something.
This is a big. I hate saying that it's a big season for Montgomery, but this is I think that's the biggest thing about this roll call episode and about Montgomery. What to watch for this season with him. I think the main thing is like it's a big season for the Yankees to assess him. What do we have in Jordan Montgomery? And we can talk about it all day of what we've seen, but doesn't make for a very long conversation, as you can see. Like it's a lot of the info on Montgomery we're about to learn. We don't know it yet. He's a very big question mark. Not injuries aside, he's a question mark with injuries, but this is his first fully healthy year where he's not coming in with something on the injured list or something. This is where we find out what he's made of. Mm-hmm. Who are you? Who are you, Jordan Montgomery? We're about to find out.
Show yourself.
All the guys at 161st Street, I just have 2 words to you. See ya.